I thought I'd start with coming into the museum with the title wall and discussing some pieces in this room. And if you look in the room, you'll see three pieces painted on black fabric. To your right is like an antelope elk kind of hybrid. And we'll look at the other two in a minute, but you can stay on the antelope right now. There are three angel pieces, and there's an elephant, and there's a lion as well. And I did this series in the last probably year and a half. And the black fabric I thought would be kind of interesting to start as a background, kind of like the old fashioned black velvet Elvis pieces, you know, where the black really makes the color pop. And I was thinking of these pieces as sort of spiritual guides, and I give each of these animals sort of a quality, a strength that I wanted to convey in these pieces. And so in this one, the funny thing is I made the antelope a fierce animal. I wanted him to be, you know, it is a prey animal. It is a more vulnerable animal. But in this piece, I wanted him to be, you know, kind of strong and powerful. So he's kind of like a spirit animal, a sort of a talisman. And in general, when working with animals, I should probably backtrack just a minute. I meant to explain how I got to using animals. It's just something I've always done. Even as a kid, that's what I like drawing. And as you get to be a mature artist, you look for your vocabulary and how you're going to express yourself. And I just kept coming back to animals because they're so fascinating to me and so beautiful. And there's such a variety, you know, of shapes, sizes, pattern, coat. And they also have, you know, very sincere emotions. They're not going to bite you if they don't mean it, you know, or growl at you or snuggle up to you if they don't mean it. So I love that sincerity. And so I've just always been using them. And sometimes it's a more, you know, cerebral human kind of entity I'm thinking of. And then sometimes I am speaking about, you know, a natural real animal, you know, like the elephant series might be a little more about realistic real animals, but there's always a little bit of the human element and the human experience when I am painting any of these or creating any of these creatures. So this one I call Fierce Angel. And then if we can swing around to I think the next one is the elephant. Elizabeth, if you don't mind. And so this one was my second one. The first one was the antelope. And I just call this one Wise Angel because I've studied a lot I like to study the animals I paint. And the elephants are tremendously intelligent. They're, you know, very close to us, and like they have societies and they have outcasts and they have grief and they, you know, they're just brilliant. So that's why I call this one Wise Angel. And then if you'll swing to the fabulous lion, I do love a male lion because they are so gorgeous. And so this one is called Mighty Angel because he's got the power. He's just powerful and strong and, of course, the king of the jungle. And so those three are from about the last year and a half. I've been doing these large ones on unstretched fabric because A, they're really easy to ship and reasonable, but B, they have a sort of a live quality. They kind of move on the wall and they flow and they feel kind of looser, less strapped down than the stretched ones. So let's see, let's back up a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about the installation in this room. Did anybody want to ask any questions about those pieces?
Well, I wanted to ask, you have a variety of work, but these are also large. I can't, somewhere along the line, tell us what your studio's like and how you work on such large pieces and go into that.
Yeah. Okay, well, here's the funny thing about that. I had been in a studio for about, well, actually 29 years until last November when they're renovating and they're going to move. And so I had a really nice space and it had big walls and I actually sort of built out some more walls in it. And it wasn't huge or anything, but I started panicking when I realized I was going to have to move out in a year or two, and I started painting giant pictures on these unstretched fabrics because I thought, what if I don't get a big wall? So I just I just started making the really big pieces. And the other thing I was doing at that time, because I knew I was going to have to move out, and I'm what you call a hoarder, and I had like rolls, and I still have some of that black fabric. I had some canvas someone had given me, and I thought, well, let's just use it up so we don't have to move it. So, and it was incredibly freeing to work this big. And I'll tell you how I start the big ones. I just put the fabric on the floor. This is the fun part when you don't have a canvas, and I'm a small person, so it's very easy for me to move the big pieces of fabric around, whereas if it was all on wood or canvas, it's a little more taxing. But I throw it on the floor, and then I get those rollers. They're like about this big, like a cigar, you know, like a if you were painting a room. And I put
Yeah.
them in the paint, and I just put them on a big stick, like a broomstick, and I just start throwing the paint on the canvas. And that is a real freeing way to mess it up, so you don't worry about the background, or you know, I don't even worry about what it's going to be. I don't even know what it's going to be at that point for these. And then I keep, actually I knew I was going to do the line, but the other two just kind of, I just kind of looked at the forms that I made that way. And I was like, well, that's the first one. I was definitely like, well, that's kind of looking like one of those antelope deer creatures. And so then I just come back in and use tracing paper to kind of get what I want there and move it around to where I want it, and then paint it in. But by that point it's on the wall, you know. But it's fun. The floor part is really fun because it's messy and you don't know what's going to happen. And then I spray water all over it and drip it around and throw pigment on it. So I like to call that process embrace the messy, because if you embrace the messy, you can do anything. You can just go anywhere. Whereas if you have just a white canvas, you might be a little worried, you know, am I messing it up? Well, I've already messed it up. So yeah. So did that answer your question pretty much?
Yes, yes.
But
And you have,
I do have
yeah,
big walls in my new studio, not quite as long, but they're still tall. So I'm still making big stuff. Yay.
I love it because I've never made big stuff and I'm inspired to make big stuff.
Well, it's very freeing. And also, if you haven't stretched it, then you can kind of change your idea, and you might even change the size if you want. You know, it's kind of fun. So I say get some fabric. You might even have some fabric laying around.
Oh, I'm a hoarder too,
Oh, good. Yeah. Like most good artists are, I think.
in a nice way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Linda, what kind of paint do you work with?
Well, some of these, I did a mural a few years ago in Atlanta, and I had some leftover mural paint, and it's real high quality acrylic. And so these, I've started with some of those colors. You see that kind of aqua green and the gold and the purple. And so I start with those since I have them in big quantities. Then I move into, you know, the acrylic, regular acrylics.
Hmm,
Mm-hmm. So,
thank
okay,
you.
any other questions on those pieces? We can move on. Okay, go ahead.
Are you go? Okay, you didn't talk about the elephant that was in 4 separate canvases. Do you
Okay,
want to?
yeah, yeah, I'll get to that one in just a second. That's going to be right after we talk about Louis. So why don't we go to Louis the 14th?
Oh yeah, I love that.
You probably didn't know that's what he looks like, the Louis the 14th guy.
That. Tell us about that.
Okay, so I started in the other room. You'll see the Serio inverse piece with the little fabric figures. So I did those first, but Louis was my first life-size soft sculpture. And I had started making this figure, and I really didn't know where I was going with it, except that I kind of thought he was bull-like, and I'm a Taurus, so you might see a lot of bulls in the work that I do. There, a lot of times there's little secret bulls, because I always feel like I'm a bull. And yes, I'm stubborn, and I have a lot of the qualities of that zodiac sign. But anyway, I started this guy, and then I went to Europe with my son's French trip.
I don't need to. Where is the sound?
I'm sorry? Oh, can you hear me? Did I mess up? No. Okay. So in the middle of making this figure, I went over to France and went to Versailles and saw all of that. And I don't know if you guys have been there, but they have, it's insanely opulent and over the top. And so I just kept thinking, you know, at that place, too much will never be enough. So I took a lot of these photographs that I reworked into paintings over there in France and at Versailles. And then when I came home, I realized that this figure I'd been working on wanted to be Louis XIV. And so I created him as this figure and made him a little throne to stand on, and then gave him a salon of, you know, paintings that some of them he's included in, and they all relate to that trip and the experience there. And when I started it, I was thinking in terms of material possessions, because, you know, Versailles is too much will never be enough stuff there. I mean, gold, you know, coated everything, and, you know, the mirror room and all that. So that's where I started with, almost in a negative, there's too much materialism. But by the end of finishing the piece, because I tend to get in my head when I'm working on a piece, I was realizing it was much more about too much will never be enough of life and experiences and all the moments we get. So I kind of see this as a gallery of life and snapshots of life. And if you'll notice at the very last, on the bottom right, the last one is boo, because one day it ends. And that's sort of perhaps a surprise and an abrupt thing, but I also kind of get a little humor with my dark humor there. So that is what that piece is about. Does anybody have any questions on that one?
I don't have a question, but I love that he's got a salon
Yeah, thank you.
around him. I just wanted to say that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's swing around. I did want to talk about the Brevard Beauties, because isn't that in the corner, Elizabeth? I think it is, over here by the lion. Because when we were talking about this show, did Carla ever make it? No? Well, Carla had said, you know, you guys,
joining right now.
where is she? I can't see her.
It's like her stuff is connecting. Let's see.
Okay, tell me if she joins. I'll give her a second, because I know this one we talked about and planned.
She's in. Let's see if she pops up. Carla, we want to talk to you.
Well, anyway, so I'll just start talking about this one. So when she comes on, she will maybe chime in. But anyway, when we talked about the show and the fact that I do animals, and you have the Brevard Zoo, and you know, you're closely related. She was working with the zoo admin, and we were talking about doing a painting, you know, just to kind of illustrate some of the animals there. And at one point we were talking about they were going to maybe get lions, which I don't know if they've gotten yet. And I did that, the angel lion, partly because of that. But then she said some of our favorite zoo animals are, you know, maybe not the most glamorous, sexy animals, but some of the just really sweet, you know, loving favorites of the audiences that go there. So I selected 3 from the ones she sent me. And I think that's a bear, a giraffe, and I think that's some kind of llama on the right. I love his hairdo too. But, and I wanted them to be more like a portrait of their faces. So I kind of had them just like in this, you know, just floaty, cloudy, rainbowy kind of background. So that one is called Brevard Beauties. And I did that one, I guess, maybe earlier this year, I think. So I did that one. Okay, why don't we swing around? Let's go over to the elephant section where we were talking about, we might skip the buffalo, we could always come back later. But someone was asking about the elephants. So in 2010, I decided to do, you know, spend a year painting the elephants and rhinos at the Atlanta Zoo. I wanted to go to Africa, but having not been able to do that yet, I figured a good substitute would be to just go hang out at the zoo a lot and just observe these animals and paint them. And I did get a grant to do that, and did a show at a public venue in Atlanta. And I really enjoyed it. I would just sit there and watch them. They have all kinds of, you know, enrichment they do. They have games for them, and they're really smart, and they like pick on each other and
Oh,
each other's
I can hear.
And so this was the first one of that. And I called the show Big Muse, or the series Big Muse. And this is the first one of that series. And that's the name of this piece as well. And I wanted her to look very strong and powerful in that piece. And then
This is the artist.
and then I'm sorry, did you ask a question? No? And then I did this quartet painting, was my second quartet painting. We'll see the rhino in the other room. But the quartet painting, someone was asking about how I did this one. These were very deliberate. You know, when I was talking about the black fabric ones, those are very intuitive. But when I was working on these big panel pieces, I had to have a plan. So I wanted them to feel like, when you see it, when you hear a quartet, you have 4 different instruments playing music that complements each other. And I thought that I would apply that to a painting with, I started with 4 jewel toned panels, which I then glued and painted and fabric and photos on there that maybe does or does not have anything to do with the elephant. But then I have the elephant kind of cover all the panels and bring it all together. So I was hoping that all the colors and elements will kind of work together to make a richer kind of experience of the large animal. And this is in 4 panels. So I did do, you know, this one is 6 by 8, I think. The other one's 8 by 10. So 3 by 4 panels, which are easily moved around the studio as opposed to if you had tried to do this that big. And then it also has that nice grid, which I like running through it from those panels.
Mhm.
Yeah. Did that answer? Was it Marguerite? Was that you the one that asking? Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, but I want to say one more thing. Please don't forget about the first room where you put the fabrics together that are like quilts.
Yeah.
That's one of my very favorite places. Okay.
Okay, we will get there. Yes, Elizabeth, we had to do that. Okay, so we can swing over to, there's one more little rhino there from that series, which is called What You Believe. And this is where I started getting, I think I have too many pieces from this era where I started, let's see, I call it beautiful detritus, where I hang little things in front of the painting or on it. And I kind of see those as like little moments or little thoughts. And you'll see the little pink airplane there on the left. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. So when you say What You Believe, I was thinking of, like, you know, to me, the rhino almost looks like a little priestess. And there's somebody dancing in the field, which is actually a scarecrow. But I kind of see it as sort of a spiritual kind of moment. And also, I think your belief system is what kind of gets you through life. And I used to have this belief that if I didn't think about that airplane being up in the air the whole time, it might crash. So that was my beliefs. I've gotten better since then. But it's all, I think life is very much about what you believe and what your faith is and what gets you through it. So this one's kind of about that. Okay, let's see. What else do we have in this room? To the left, is that the Serio in verse? I think so.
I love these.
Thank you. So this one is a, the first soft sculpture I made was that little elephant down at the bottom right. And I wasn't really doing it for art. I just wanted to see if I could do it. And I made him, and then I started putting him in paintings, like right in that boat. And then I started making more of these guys. And then I started putting them in paintings. So it all became sort of interrelated. Now, they don't all get to be in a painting, and the paintings don't all have one of them. But
Okay.
I wanted it to feel kind of like a game, you know, where you have a checkerboard and then you have your pieces. So I kind of had that sort of playful feel to it. But I also felt like it was a little poems, little bitty poems of snippets of life, along with the little person they're about, maybe. And to me, question?
She's very bright.
I think they're talking about their screen. Anyway, so the funny thing about this one to me is, you know, they're very playful, almost like children's toys. But then you pin them on the wall and they start to feel like specimens, like a butterfly or something. So it's a little spooky that way too. So I was really happy with this one, and that's when I started doing a lot more of the soft sculpture installation pieces, because this was the first one. Any questions on that?
I had one question. I know on the elephant, the top one that's red, he has a flower with a dog head that comes out. I
Right?
just didn't know if that was another dog that's in a different one of the photos, or if that was just his own standalone dog.
That is the actual dog that's the model there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is my dog. You'll see his painting in the other room. He's not in these, but he was, it's a diptych called Take Your Time. It's in the other room.
Okay, I thought he was Elvis. I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
But you know what was funny? So he had ear surgery and he had one of those cones on. And someone said, oh, this is a flower. And I was like, oh my God, he is a flower. So I had to do him as a flower.
I love that.
So, and that is, that red one is actually my old studio. That's the door that goes in. It's an old mill from like the 19th century. And that's actually the door that you would go into my studio.
Wow.
I know. It was such a great place. But
Very nice, very nice.
I have a new studio, so I'm okay. I'll be okay. So,
Well,
any
I
other?
love the tablecloth behind him, and it's so confusing, the fur on his trunk. I mean, I always look at that each time I come.
That's funny. Yeah, the tablecloth I think is from, I use a lot of old fabrics from my life in these pieces, so they're very personal. And my mom used to make me these things called villager dresses. I don't know if you remember those.
Oh, yes.
60s. Anyway, so I ended up with a lot of that fabric when we cleaned out the attic of her house. And it's so, nostalgic for me, and I think for other people too. And it's not something you could ever get again. So I like to preserve it in these pieces, for, it's all of this, a lot of this just incorporates my history. Even the fabric in these pieces has been used for different things in my life. Okay, we can swing around. What else I'm trying to think, Elizabeth, where we were going next. Maybe let's go do this other little installation piece, and then we'll go to the other room. This one has two of my flux paintings which I kind of see as a portrait gallery.
Linda, can you hear me?
Yes.
I was on mute. I didn't realize. But what prompted you to put the fur on the nose?
Well, it was fur that I used for some furniture in my house, and I thought it was very funny to make it. I do like humor in it, and unexpected, I guess you would say. And it's sort of reminiscent of a woolly mammoth, isn't it? Even though his is up here, this is on their trunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the absurd. I'm very fond of absurdity and surprises.
Good.
Okay, back to, so these are two of on the flanking, the middle picture are the Phlox series, where I do like a portrait gallery of animals layered on top of plants. And I kind of see it as, just sort of looking for the beauty in both and kind of letting them meld into one thing. So that's why I call them, like that's pansy fant, like elephant and pansy, and that's phlox, like flowers and fox. And I put them in frames because they're a portrait gallery kind of thing. And the center one here is one of my current dogs that's upstairs right now, very mad at me because he can't bark. But his name is Morty, and he is always up in the air somehow or another. So I thought it was fun to make him the speed of light. And I also used some equations from physics in this piece. If you know your physics, you'll know that's the speed of light. And then there's another equation there too. Not that I know physics, but my son is a physicist, so he majored in physics. So I always love the way what I call his ciphering looks on the page, just letters and symbols and numbers, and it's such a pretty texture too. So that one incorporates a lot of personal elements in my life too.
Beautiful painting.
Thank
I
you.
was gonna say I love him.
Carla, I wanted to thank you very much for having this show and for playing.
Oh, I'm sorry I'm late.
Okay.
I was technically challenged tonight.
Okay, we all are sometimes.
Yeah, well, I couldn't get onto Facebook on my husband's laptop because I forgot. You know how you forget your passwords?
Yeah. I don't know mine. I wouldn't know. Well, I'm glad you're here. And
Anyway, I'm here.
hey,
And
good.
then the Zoom challenge and everything, but I made it. And
Well, I talked about the Brevard piece and said we had planned that one a while back too, and that was fun.
yeah, we
So,
planned everything a while back.
oh, right.
And
I appreciate you making this happen because, you know, in the pandemic, a lot of things aren't happening. So
yeah,
really lucky. And what
we
with all
had
the,
some challenges,
yeah,
but
it's been
we
great.
made it happen.
Yes. So I appreciate it. And it's so
And
gorgeous. The galleries are just fabulous.
yeah, we can see them virtually,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
are beautiful.
I feel like I got to go, even though I didn't get to go. So
Yeah, even though you're not here with the virtual
That was the
footage.
point.
Yeah, it worked out.
yeah.
I
Okay.
thought you were going to be recording. I didn't know we were going to have the actual you here. So this is even better because I thought we were having like an interview that had been recorded that we were going to see.
No,
This is even better.
live and in person. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's swing around wherever. What were we going towards? Oh, the little installation piece.
I love these.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mhm.
speaking of dogs, my other dog that's upstairs angry at me is he's 11 now, but I collect these little animal figures when I go on trips. Like I can't remember where I got the two on the left, but I know the one on the right is a dog made out of grass that I got in Union Square Park in New York at the Green Market. So, you know, I had taken these pieces and I even walked around and I think I ate dinner by myself and drew them because that's just what I like to do. But anyway, so I'd use all these figures, you know, they'll end up in my work sometimes, and I like to draw them. And so all three of these, I had drawn pictures of them. And then my little dog Otto, when he was a puppy, got a hold of them and chewed each one of them up separately. And of course, you know, being a good hoarder, I didn't throw them out. So I kept them, and I was like, I'm going to make a reparations piece and make it up to them. So I took a picture of them. The pictures in the center are them in their chewed up state. And then I took the actual pieces and beautified them and made their new iteration even more glamorous. So they're like as silk and beads and sparkly stuff. And so it was just kind of an interesting process. And to me, it sort of reflects life because everybody starts out pretty okay, and then you go through stuff and you have to repair yourself. And so it's kind of about that process too as well, not just these little critters that I did that too, but how, you know, you kind of can't give up. You got to pick your little self up away from the puppy and rebuild yourself, you know. So that's what that piece is about. Any questions on anything recently? All right.
No, I like the combination of the things sitting on the wall and then the two interpretations. I think that's really good.
Good. Thank you. And I tried to make them relate at least on a size level since they were very different media. All right, let's go back to the other room so we don't forget things. Let's stop right here for just a sec. Okay, so the rhino piece was actually the first piece I did before I started the elephant series, elephant rhino series. Before I decided to take the year and do the pachyderms for a year. So this one I had done because I just wanted to paint a really big painting, and this was 8 by 10 feet. And in this one, I incorporated a lot of different things, and in the other one too. But what I did was I did very dual tone backgrounds for these, and then I found images in my digital photos that kind of matched dual tone, and glued those on there before I even started painting. So you'll see pansies, which is my favorite flower in the world, on the lower right. You'll see this little lake house that is near my house up at the lake, but not mine, but I think it's the most charming little house on the lake on the left, lower left. And then if you go up, you'll see some other, like, I think there's a dandelion in the upper left, and it's not supposed to be a pretty flower, but I love them. And then there was a paper towel I had that had this weird shape of an animal on it where I'd been painting, and it's above the dandelion. So I just include all the things that I find beautiful. And then you'll see a wasp above the back of the rhino. And the funny thing was I was painting that and a wasp came and got on the painting right there. So I knew I did that right because, you know, he was right there validating that. And then
Nice.
there's just lots of little secrets. Like there's a secret possum up at the upper right that was up in a tree near my house one time. And some of those things are photographs. Like I think the possum is a photograph, and then some of them are painted, and then some of them are fabric. So I like to keep you guessing, what is it that you're looking at? Is it, you know, something real, or is it painted? Because I think that's kind of the surprise and the joy of looking at these is to be like, oh, that's not what I thought it was. So this was my first really big quartet painting when I did this one. So, and
I'm curious, Linda, what medium did you start with? You know, when you knew you wanted to study art, what was your favorite?
well, I have always liked acrylic paint. I really have. And I really like putting things together too. I like assembling things. But I tried oil for a while, but it's just, you can't glue a lot of stuff on it, and it's and it doesn't dry fast enough. And I feel like I get what I want with acrylic, and I think oil painting is just a different way of working. So, but now I've started using, lately I've been into these like watercolor black pencils to go over a lot of things and do, you know, it's like you get this new toy and you're like, this is fun. And so a lot of that, pencil on top of the paint.
Yeah.
In general, I think I've always just loved paint, you know, just acrylic paint.
Yeah, I can tell you love color.
Yeah, I do.
It comes out in your work, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Linda, when you use the term jewel tones, is that something very specific, or it's just how you interpret those colors?
You know, it's probably just me, but I think of jewel tones as being sort of rich, dark, and I like, there's a ruby and there's a emerald and there's a sapphire and there's a Yellowstone, whatever that might be, you know. So it just kind of, to me, that it's like dark and rich, you know, as opposed to like a pastel-y tone. Yeah, so I don't know if anybody else would call it jewels, but I do.
Okay.
Okay, and there's one more little quartet to the left of this, which is that strange animal called an okapi. Is that how you say it? Is that, I think that.
Oh, he's so cute.
And I just,
Yes, okapi.
Yes.
and of course he sort of disappears in parts, but and this one may be one of my sillier quartets with those little acorns. I like to get acorns and draw faces on them, and you know, that's just one of the things I included. But I found that I was just delighted, you know, that they found this new species in the really recent past, you know, that it's not, I don't know, was it in the last 100 years or whatever they found it? And it's,
Yes.
I think it's a relationship to the zebra, I think.
It's a relative of the giraffe, yes.
Right. Okay, yeah. And I think they're fabulous. And I saw this baby giraffe photo and I was like, I must get that and make my own. So yeah, this one sort of, the third one kind of gets even more crazy because, you know, I figured out, oh, I can do this. And then so I let his, you know, legs disappear into the fabric and carry things across the panels. And I started using old patterns, and I think he's got such a great pattern on him, and then I use the pattern you sew from, so that's sort of a little bit of a humor there. Okay.
I was really excited to see the okapi.
Were you? Oh, good.
Yes, I had a figure of an okapi when I was younger.
Oh, wow.
And so I was excited to see one.
I have a tiny one that's like an inch tall, and I was happy to find that because you can't find them.
No, they're not well known, but I said, oh, it's an okapi, and everyone else said, what?
What is that? I know, they're so cool. I don't think I've seen one in real life though, you know.
I've seen one at a zoo. They are large.
Are they?
The adults, they're like a horse. Like, I feel like you could ride it. It was big.
That's big. You
yeah.
know, I saw a tapir and had always thought they were like little small animals.
Oh my God.
They're giant. Oh my gosh, just like a hippo.
Yeah, we have them at the Brevard Zoo. We have some tapirs.
Gosh, I love tapirs. I didn't know that, or I would have included that in the painting. They're one of my favorites. They're so strange.
I went to zoo camp growing up at the Brevard Zoo too, so they were
Man,
also very fun.
I like the animals that don't look like they should still be in our time period, you know, like
Yes.
pachyderms and this one and the tapir. I think we're so lucky to have them.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that by, you know, painting all these animals, it makes people, reminds everybody, you know, this is important and take care of these
Really?
creatures. You know, that's one of the subtexts of me using all these animals. First of all, I love painting them and they're gorgeous, but it's also a reminder, you know, of our vanishing wilderness that we need to pay attention, you know, and not lose anymore. So, okay, so let's swing around to, where are we going now? Elizabeth, do you remember? Let's see, let's go. Well, we could go back to the, I want to make sure let's go to the quilts because we could do this one. Let's do this one and then we'll do the quilts. Okay, let's go so there's 3 paintings in this series that I just did in that sort of panic mode where I had to get out of the studio. I was doing a lot of, this one actually I carried to the new studio and finished. But that I was working really big. I had some canvas that someone had gifted me. And I really wanted to explore not just animals, but vegetation. And so like some of these are called beastly floral. Anyway, so I started these calling, the first one was Beastly Floral the Fox. We'll look at him in a minute. And then I did this one and called it Entropy. I think it originally called it Chaos Entropy, but I think I ended up calling Entropy Wildcat. And then I did another one with the fawn. And they all sort of started with the vegetation. And same thing where I started with the black paintings. I put the canvas on the floor, used those little rollers, and started throwing paint around. And really just saw what emerged. I wasn't sure what animal was going to be there until I got sort of going. And then I saw, first of all, the fox in the other one, and then this cat face, and then the fawn. And to me, this one is very much about how I think nature might be kind of taking back over in some ways. And maybe there's a hopefulness that we haven't destroyed too much and that it can kind of come back. And maybe some of the things we're seeing that we may not like that much is nature kind of, you know, letting us know this is not working, so I'm going to make it work my way, you know. So I don't want to see any disastrous stuff, but I do hope that nature can repair herself. And so the wildcat is kind of a little bit confrontational, like, you know, I need to take care of myself kind of thing. So that's the way I see this one. The others are a little more, I guess, benign sort of entities, like the fox is from the side, and then he's more of like just showing the nature, and then the fawn one is more about the shelter of nature and how nature takes care of her creatures. And in this one, I started really experimenting with the grommets and hanging it from grommets and running grommets with like little jewels and the yarn. And that sort of, to me, mimics how nature gets all tangled up. And there's all this beauty in there if you take the time to look at all the little moments that you can find. So let's look at the fox real quick. I think we can swing around there. We won't worry about this fawn. We saw it a minute ago. And the fox is the biggest one I did. I got a little carried away there, got really big. But I really enjoyed the just the power of using such big brush strokes, and the image could get really large and just really powerful and almost taking over your space with that. And I have a little, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask if the sacred spiral with the buffalo, is that part of like this like little section, because it's got the same wiry?
Definitely it is.
Okay.
It is a result of these, but I'd say the message is a little different. So yeah, it's
Okay.
very similar. Yeah, and I was playing with that. These were sort of more about the nature and the plants, but the sacred spiral I felt like was more a personal kind of spiritual journey you know, as
Okay.
a, yeah. So, but yeah, definitely very much in that series too. And it just changed the focus just a little pivot there.
I was gonna say this, the Sacred Spiral seems like the in between this and the ones that we started with like the Mighty Angel and the Wise Angel. And
Actually, the Sacred Spiral is the latest one. That and the Brevard
oh,
and the Australian ones are the latest ones.
okay.
Yeah, I know. I jump around, you know. I'm always doing like, do this for a minute, and then I'll do 2 of these, then I'll go over here and do that. It kind of keeps me from getting bored.
Understandable.
Yeah, but yeah, the Sacred Spiral is definitely the latest one of this. And I had a lot of fun with that one with, you know, the crazy fringe at the top, which mimics the buffalo's, you know, fur. And, you know, I was going to talk about that one, but I didn't want to run out of time. But yeah, I really am happy with that piece. And it's got some new stuff I'm going to do some more with. Like,
Ooh.
yeah.
Can we have a peek-
Always
can we have a
coming.
peek at that one? The
Um,
Sacred Spiral? Can we have a look at it now that we've heard so much about it?
Okay, Elizabeth, can you zoom us over there?
Which one is that? Sorry.
It was over there in the room with the elephant. I think it's to
It's
the,
right next to the Mighty Angel with the.
Oh, gotcha. Here, let me run around here.
okay, we won't get dizzy. I think it is next to, yeah, turn to the right. No.
Right?
Yeah, it's that one right there, the buffalo
yeah,
on the left.
Yeah, right to the left of the angel. Yeah,
This guy.
Next to the lion, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. That one has a lot of crazy stuff going on. Like there's a tablecloth that makes up his head that was stained fabric, and I just glued it on the canvas, and then it came off. He is wearing a scarf. Yes, thank you. But that's what came off of there was this whole. It was I started the whole thing with a spiral, and I started the grommets. I started the piece with the grommets, and they were a spiral, and so then I saw the buffalo head in it. So that's where it came from. And then I started, you know, of course, I was reading about that kind of thing, and you know, utilizing, you know, you feel like the Native American, you know, lore and myth and all that. So I included things that almost look like feathers, and then the hawk on the left and the owl on the right. So this one feels kind of like sort of a study in that kind of mythology and spiritual, you know, concepts. But at the top, that's what I was talking about. That fringe kind of feels to me like his little hair, you know, that I put on there, and I had to like cut it and really frizz it up, you know, little edge. You know, the edges to me are always important. So. Okay, we should go back and do those quilt pieces before too long, because I don't want the people that wanted to see those to miss them. And then if we have time, we'll do the other installation. Okay, so these pieces, I started the first one because I was actually at that point out of canvas, and I had a stretcher and I needed another piece for a show. And so I stretched the canvas. I mean, I sewed, I'm a sewer, obviously, with the soft sculptures. So I had all this fabric, and I sewed it together, and I put it on a frame. And then I was a little, I let it sit for a month or two because I couldn't figure out what to do. And then I realized, because I didn't, you know, you can't go back to the fabric if you paint over it. So I wanted to kind of keep some of the fabric and, you know, paint some images. But I realized my iPad was a great tool there. So I took a photo of the, you know, just the quilted fabric, and would draw like, you know, 10 or 20 ideas and finally come up with something I wanted. And then I could proceed to it without, so I had a plan, because these pieces I couldn't really do intuitively, or I might, you know, lose all the fabric pattern. So, and the funny thing about these is I use a lot of fabrics from my own life, you know, from my adult life, and some of them have fabrics like, you know, that villager fabric from my child life. And something about these and the way they're quilted and the way I have to do the figures almost cartoony just really just calls up childhood for me. And so they always remind me of something about childhood, you know, things you heard or worried about, or you know, just those kind of memories. So this one's called Sing Me Home, and this one is about being lost and trying to get home. And everybody has probably had that happen, and you get a little confused on, well, what house was there, and where's my house, and he's just listening and trying to figure out how to get there. So that's what this one's called, and we can go down the line, and then I'll answer questions. So why don't you go to the next one? And this is one that, you know, every parent says to their child. I said it to my child. My mother said it to me, be careful. And of course, that little house is not being careful. And that's the mom house on the right. And then the little bratty child house is, you know, not paying attention, not being careful. And then there's my dog Morty on the left again. So, and I just love working with the pattern. And then the house on the left that the dog is standing on is actually a bird, kind of an origami bird. These pieces are always surprise me with what they want me to do. And I just kind of listen to the piece and do it, because I kept trying to make the house on the left something else. And I was like, there's a bird head there, just leave it. It wants to be that. And I like the way they're soft and they don't have they feel sort of like you could wrap yourself in them, and they're comforting, as opposed to if they were stretched solid, because I do stretch them, you know, on frames before I paint them. But then I take them off and sew them so they have a nice sort of, they're warmer with that kind of presentation. Okay, you want to go to the next one on this wall? Okay, this one's called Come Home. And this is about like when your child goes off to college and you miss them. And so the little house is running after him because he misses them. And then there's the dog on the left. And this is one of my favorites of this series, because I just didn't know what was going on in this one. And then I was so happy when I figured it out. And then if there's the bull, because I always like the bull, but it's not really me this time, but my family. And then there's one more of these. And that's the second one I did. And this one is called, oh, look, there's almost a person there. I don't usually do people, but he's almost a person with dog ears. But this one's called I'll Be Your Best Friend. And I remember someone saying that to me as a child, and I realized later they only say that to get what they want from you. But in this case, he is your best friend, because your dog is. Especially when you're a kid and sometimes other people don't understand you, your dog is there. So any questions on this series? No?
Are you going to do any more like that? I love the fabrics. I love the use of your own fabrics, and the fact that it, like with a real quilt, you know, the quilting tradition, everything has to be so perfect and cut so perfectly. And here, the things are just put together in a funny way, but then they turn into something else. But they have this other meaning too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely not the meticulous, old-fashioned way of doing quilting, but yeah, I will do some more of these. I do enjoy doing these. They're a bit labor-intensive because you get all that sewing, and then I coat them a lot with both, you know, mediums both sides, and then finally I get to paint on them. You know, so it's like a couple of weeks of prep before you can even think about what you're doing with them.
Okay, so you paint the back side too, so it won't rumple up.
Yeah, because they just need that much. They need the body. Yeah. Some of this fabric is not even as strong as like that black fabric I was painting on. Some of a lot of those are like that stripy blue and white stuff, which I adore, is really old pillowcases, and they would just rip if I didn't. And sometimes I reinforce them anyway. But
the texture is amazing. I mean, you wouldn't have that texture if you didn't go through that coating process, I don't think.
Right, and they would fall apart.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I have a couple more of those, I think, that didn't go to that show, but yeah, I really am trying to get a nice big series of those, because I find they're just different, you know.
I'm really pleased with that wall, aren't you, Linda? It worked out really well.
I have told them from the beginning, I'm pleased with everything. I mean, the gallery's gorgeous. You guys did a great job.
Look at this. I mean, I have never let an artist ever have freedom like you know, you knew the space. It's like you knew the space already when you were laying out the show.
Well, I did study it quite a bit, and I've done this a couple of times, and I feel like whenever I've done it, the curators has always been like, wow, it fit perfectly, and we had to move.
Yeah.
And it's fun, you know.
There were just a couple little glitches that we moved around, and
yeah, and I didn't even know what you moved, but it came off beautifully. And you guys did great jobs with the installations too.
Yeah, Jose is amazing.
I know that wasn't easy. You know, it's not just throwing up a painting on a wall. No, you've got to
No.
put grommets.
Linda,
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes,
This is
my sister-in-law. Yes.
I know my picture's not there. I have a question. When you have so many of these pieces and this art, I'm so impressed with this show. It's amazing.
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you store these pieces?
That's
Once you
in my house or my studio. Yeah, mostly in my house.
okay.
Yep. But see, the beauty of a lot of these, and Carla knows because she, the shipping was better price
Mhm.
than if they were large. They roll up, so they're very easily stored. Like these all roll up on.
Okay.
I've learned how to use pool noodles finally, but you can roll them up, and then they're stored easily. They ship in tubes, so these
Okay.
are very easy to store. Not so the giant rhino and elephant as much, but and I'm just tailoring. The older I get, the more I'm like, I got to take care of my body so I can keep making work, and I can't, I can't move giant things around as much. And so these are really easy to work on too, because I can throw them on the floor, I can pick them up and put them on the wall. They're just really portable. So yeah, but it is a challenge. I do have a ton of work, and I
Thanks.
I know.
All right. They're awesome.
Thanks. Well, let's look at the one of my favorite pieces, the butterfly effect, because that's I guess my latest installation piece. And this one was based, I started with an idea of doing, someone gave me a bunch of sweaters, once again, hoarder. But so I started another dog of mine that I don't think he's in any other of these paintings, Poochie, had passed away, and I started sewing this, and I was like, it's Poochie, because, just started looking like him, even though a lot of people think he might look more like a cow, and his arms are like a bug. But anyway, so I started that. And then he turned into a butterfly. And I had this idea of doing a crime board kind of piece, which is based on those TV shows and movies where they get all the stuff out and the photos and the pictures and the words, and they put the string together. And I love the idea of the connectedness of those crime boards. So this isn't really about a crime. It's more like a life board, but it's more about the experiences of your life kind of all connect. And if one thing changed over here, it would affect the whole of your life, just little moments. So I call it the butterfly effect because A, he's a butterfly, and B, it's that, that theory that if a butterfly flaps his wings in Indonesia, like we'll get a hurricane here, that kind of, every little movement in the world affects the other. And this one's very personal. So it's got all kinds of personal elements from my own life. Like, I think you had asked Ashley about the dog tags, right? Didn't you?
Yes, they're in they're that little red thing on the right.
The right, over to the right.
Yes, in the middle.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right above that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's like my dogs that I've lost. And then if you look under there, there's a drawing of Poochie that I'd done in a sketchbook or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like little broken things like from my own life. That's little fan shape is some kind of candle holder that broke. But I like to save the beautiful, non-ostentatious little moments of life, like broken wind chimes. That's what that circle is,
Oh, can you explain that one woman that has the cat head?
Oh,
you explained it in the interview, but it's really interesting.
Yeah. So that is one of those little dolls that you get, we had these little, bisque dolls, and I think her head broke off. And I was never much of a doll player. I didn't really like my Barbie or my baby dolls. I really just wanted to play with my animal toys. So when that doll's head broke off, I didn't break it myself, but when her head broke off, I gave her a nice animal head. So
I just love that. That little piece just embodies the whole everything. Like
she's a little creepy, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're all kind of little secrets in this piece.
It was plugged in on your dresser.
Any questions on that piece?
Yeah, it's great. That one was especially meticulous, the installation.
And as I told you, and I've had it installed at another museum before, I said, you really can't do it wrong. You know, if you can, I like that round thing over his head, but as long as there's sort of a balance, you've just made another, you know, another prime board. Or
Is the round thing over his head supposed to be like a dream catcher? Because that's what I kind of like.
It is kind of like that. Yes.
Okay.
I do like dream catchers. It's kind of dream catcher / halo.
Ooh,
you know?
okay.
Yeah, so, because it is a dog that I had recently lost. So, but he's back here now. So he's an angel.
Yeah.
So, any other ones? Oh, let's look at the Australian one real quick.
I love this one.
You just were there and we turned around. Let's see, where did it go? That one. So that one I did as a direct response to the wildfires in Australia, because it was so heartbreaking, and I just wanted to do a, you know, kind of a commemorative memorial piece for all those beautiful animals that we lost in this world in those wildfires, and just yes, another reminder that climate change is messing up some things, and we've got to pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
when I look at this one, Linda, I see like the greenery colors is more up front than the fiery colors. Did you purposely? And so I read that as the fires coming to the animals. Is that how you purposely planned it out?
And I'm hoping maybe these three got away, or these four.
Don't forget.
But you know, maybe they're far enough away. But yeah, I did want it to feel like the world was burning behind them, and they were, they were still sort of in front of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's sort of a message to us that the world is burning too, so we need to turn around.
Oh yeah. You want me to get this one?
Yeah. So, and I love the Australian animals. They're so freaky. They, you know, they're just so different. And I've always liked wombats, and I've done some research on them, and they're giant. You think they're like a little dog size. No, they're big as well. So I really enjoyed looking at all the pictures of them. And then the koala bears are so hilariously adorable, you know. So I just think they're a fascinating animal kingdom over there, and I want to go to them one day.
No, Zig. Don't let him out. Ziggy, no.
Okay, any other ones we should talk about?
Okay.
Any other questions?
Do we have time to look at Napoleon Rain?
Oh yes, we do.
That one is super very cool.
That's a little bit older one. Let's go see him. I'm trying to remember where it is. To the left, I guess. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's right before you exit this. There you go.
Yeah. So that one is probably, I'm trying to think what year it is, but I did that one
Look at this.
when I was just getting into, I don't think I'd even done a soft sculpture yet. So that's me like getting into the fabric and, you know, experimenting, because I did the painting and I don't know where I got the idea to make his coat come off of there, but I thought, oh, this is going to be fun, because then it like makes him come into the room and he's almost there. And this is once again Poochie, my dog that is the inspiration for the butterfly effect. But and I have a fascination with Napoleon. I am short, and I have a little bit of a Napoleon complex, and I think a lot of short people are trying to make that. That's him, some of the giant paintings, I guess. But so I have a sympathy for him and a fascination with him, and so I love a Napoleon hat, quite frankly. This one, I was just I had been to Europe, I guess maybe that same time that with that you know, amphitheater in the back, and I was just thinking about, you know, all these struggles of humans and people, you know, with power and all through time, because you see those things that have been there for, you know, hundreds of years, and it's just like sort of powerful and sort of daunting at the same time, you know, that we can't seem to stop being so, you know, unpeaceful is the way to put it. So anyway, but I wanted to make it sort of a melancholy piece, and so I did him as my dog, because I don't do people much, and and then gave him the hat and just had a sort of a wistful sadness. And of course the rain I wanted to make beautiful. So I made it out of all these little jewels and bits of beautiful detritus, because there is something beautiful about poignancy too.
That one that's hanging right below his eye, both of them on both eyes, almost look like teardrops.
That's exactly what I mean for them to look like. Yeah. So it is about that kind of thing. And then I have to add a little comic relief over here. My son has always drawn some rather hilarious items. Yeah, right there. And so what does that say? Boom? I think it says boom. Yeah. So
yeah, we called him the Boom Man on our gallery guide.
So I would oftentimes steal his drawings, and if the painting sells, he gets paid. So we always like that. But he wouldn't mind. But I would use his images because they're so fresh. Children's images and art is so, just from the heart and so real. So that one, I guess, was one of those days where an explosive day maybe. But so that's sort of the same thing, about violence and trauma, and sort of reflective, but a little bit of dark humor there too. I kind of like to mix the dark and the light in the pieces. So any questions on that one? Any other ones that we didn't touch on that anybody wanted to talk about? No?
Your film, I didn't sit and watch the whole film. Do you want to talk a little bit about the film you have in the other room?
Yeah, I was, well, as Carla knows, I made a fabulous interactive piece. It's in my living room.
Yeah.
That we were not able to use because you aren't doing interactive in the pandemic. So
you'd have touchy things during.
Yeah. So I had been collecting, I was actually happy that well, in some ways, that I had to sit down and make this film, because I've been collecting footage and ideas for making a little video, and I want to do more of those. It's so much fun. But so I started, I said, well, I'm going to make something for that room since we can't do the interactive piece. And I collect images that are, some of them are, sweepingly beautiful, like landscapes, but some of them are, to me, sort of personally beautiful, like my little fat beagle walking along on his leash. That just makes my day, looking at that kind of thing with his shadow mirroring him. And then some of them are, things that I think most people would find just stunning, like a bird flying slowly. But then I wanted to layer it with my artwork, so it felt like my artwork was part of this, realm that I was making. And my husband is a musician, so he had done this little piece in the morning, and I just heard it, and I was like, I want that piece. It was just a little searching piece, and sort of peaceful and quiet, and I'm hearing my echo of myself in the other room. Sorry, it's a little disconcerting. But so I wanted to make it all meld together to be sort of a smooth, sort of going from one beautiful thing to the next, and just hoping to show you what I find beautiful. And nature is mostly what's playing in it, but also my dogs and my paintings weaving throughout it. So it's and I called it Terra because it is all about, sort of this earthly life and the beauty that I find on it.
Mark, I want to tell you, if you do want to watch it, I directly linked the video in the virtual tour, so you can watch it from the virtual tour.
Oh, good. Thank you. And I'm going to come back again now that I've been.
Oh, cool. I didn't even see that. Oh, that's so cool. What a great.
Yes, and your website, Linda, is also attached to your books that are at the very front when you enter. So you can also directly go to Linda Mitchell's website as well.
Oh, how cool. And I just updated it today. I just launched it.
Yay.
Yeah, my old one was defunct, and they said you have a month to get it ready. So today was the day. Yeah. So I think
I want to comment that all the different media, social media, Instagram, and all those, whatever you use, all those things are done so well and have made things so interesting and fun. It just added a whole lot to the experience. So it's not just walking into a museum, you can experience it in many ways.
I know, and I could save it, share it with everybody, and I'm so thankful that I have those videos and this. I mean, that it is truly a wonderful way to show the work, and you've done a great job. I really,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Ashley, Elizabeth, Tori, they really stepped up during the pandemic and did a great job with all the social media.
Yeah, I'm impressed, very impressed, and all my people are telling me how amazing all this content is. So,
Oh, good.
oh yeah, they are. Like, wow, and that's why I was like, I got to get copies of those. Yes, they're so fun, and they're so the flow of those videos is just really nice. From
Good
other
job, Tori.
Yeah.
Yay.
Oh yeah, they're great. Yeah.
Excuse me, Linda, I have to leave, but I want to thank you and thank everybody who made this happen. It's really special and very beautiful and inspiring.
Yay.
So thank
Well, I'm
you.
so glad you could attend. Thank you for
Yeah,
coming.
me
Yes,
too.
thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey.
I have a question about a piece. I don't know if you've talked about it yet.
Okay.
We're facing it right now. It's the piece on a wall by itself. I think it's like two spirits or two guardians or
We haven't talked about that because that one
two deities. And we were arguing about what the connection was. And I said the white buffalo is totally a Native American thing.
Yes, they
both is what I first said.
Yes, it is a spiritual guide. Yeah, that is definitely supposed to be a magical spiritual guide in the Native American thing. And I just like the buffalo. I love horned creatures. So I started, these were these, and there's another set of 3 on the other wall. I started doing these sort of portrait kind of things, and I kind of saw what animal emerged, and the buffalo emerged, and it felt very male and sort of bulky and strong.
Mm-hmm.
And then the deer slash what other people's like, is that a deer or wolf or whatever?
Yeah, we were going to ask, can you confirm the animal of the
deer?
The female deity? I think we were like, yes, it is a deer. Okay.
I always say, people say, is that a deer or a fox? And I'm like, yes, because sometimes I try to make it a specific, but in this case, I felt like it was kind of a deer, but then the nose was getting a little funny, and I was like, well, I guess it is more of a deer, and it kind of has a little bit of a.
Yeah, but even your other spirit deities, the other one that's a 3, they're kind of like, I don't see specific animals when I look at them. They're more like the right one.
And this one, the one on the right, I don't know if you can tell, but the deer creature kind of has a baby deer underneath it too. I don't know if you noticed that little triangle down there.
Oh.
So
I thought that was a reflection. It's a little deer.
It could be. But so that's the female. And I was just thinking of spirit guides and female and male energy. And the fact is, I think that all people have both in them,
I thought they were nipples.
Males. Well, they could.
I'm like, oh, that's the female.
See that? They're awfully close together. But I see them sort of as like eyes or something.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so I saw these as just a male and female kind of energy and spirit guides.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other 3 are the 3 wise deities, which are 3 wise ones.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of similar. So these are also in a series, Where did they go?
Those are right next to the rhino, Elizabeth, I think. Yes.
Yeah, next to the butterfly effect.
Yeah. So those to me had sort of qualities. I saw those as having 3 different qualities. So the one on the left, sort of, because of the cross mark, I saw him as sort of a soldier. So he's like a defender. He's defense and taking care and safety. And the middle one felt kind of female once again. And yes, that does look like a breast in that one. I agree. So there's, even though she's an animal, sometimes these things happen. And the one to the right is a little bit devilish and a little bit of a cad. So I don't know why he's got like a double-breasted suit on and little devil horns. So he's kind of sort of fun and so there's just 3 qualities that I think you might have within you that are all sort of working together to kind of get you through, help you guide you, like guides, spirit guides, talismans. Yeah. So I think we got through all the pieces, did we not?
I think so.
I was gonna say we got through most of them.
Yeah, that the giraffe is a little blurry, so I didn't try to do him. But yeah, well, I thank you so much, everybody, for coming. This has been really fun. It's almost like I'm there with everybody.
You
Yes,
are.
thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
That was wonderful.
Yes. Well, I appreciate everybody attending.
Thank you. In the future. And wait, what's next?
Sorry again, I was late, Linda.
Oh, that's okay. I'm glad you came. I was like, is Carla coming?
Yes, I'm here.
Nice to meet you virtually since it didn't get.
Yeah, good to meet you virtually. It's been a success and really well received, as the girls can attest.
I'm so happy, and I love seeing the young people in here.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love the games you had for them. That's so fun.
Yeah.
Art fun, not like scary or like something you can't understand, you know?
No, it's been really
Oh, good.
very upbeat.
Wonderful. Well, I'm so happy. I'm just thrilled. It's been fab. Made my year, made my pandemic year.
I'm
So good.
I'm so glad.
Yes.
Made our pandemic exhibition year for sure.
Yeah. Well, so glad it happened. So, yes. All right. Well, thank you so much.
All right.
Gonna wrap it
Thank
up.
you.
Thank you.
Get back to your doggies.
Okay, I will. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.